welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today is just a very quick video from a small clip from our most recent online resource, which is Conditioning for Lifters. It's a webinar. It goes for about 100 minutes. There's two parts. The first part being theory, second part being application. We did this alongside Jamie Buziotis, which is our head strength and conditioning coach here at Melbourne Strength Culture. He is a fantastic resource when it comes to conditioning and its application in all kinds of context. However, this product is simply for lifters. So if you're a strength athlete or you coach strength athletes and you want to understand how to best incorporate aerobic development for the longevity and health of and performance of your lifters, this would be a fantastic resource for you. All of the links are in the bio down below. It's only a $49 investment, and you'll take home some fantastic applications for your coaching and the longevity of your athletes. So we couldn't recommend it more highly. Again, links are in the bio.
We look at the trainability of systems. Now, as a coach can you actually influence? So if we look at the phosphagen system, the ability to produce energy with this system is largely genetic. So say if all things are equal, if me and Jay Smith have decided to shot put and say we're body weight's the same, muscular composition is the same, not talking about fast or slow twitch fibers, like just we're both as jacked as we are, we're as lean as we are, and we've got the same levels of fitness, cardiovascular fitness on a VO2 max level. So if we're shot putting and he shot puts 20 meters and I shot put 15, it's like nothing's changed. There may be a difference in composition of fibers. He may have greater intramuscular stores of ATP, and that could be purely genetic. The only way that I'm going to overtake him is by building more tissue and then having a greater increase in relative ATP stores. So this here, the only way that we look at really, really improving our phosphagen system is by just getting more jacked, pretty much. Being able to store more ATP by having more muscle fibers to do so. It's the whole basis of creatine supplementation. So phosphocreatine is the fuel. It'll allow us to repeat more efforts, and that's why everyone pushes creatine so much. If we can repeat efforts for longer, fantastic. So having an understanding of this is very important. Understanding why we do, why we supplement with creatine and why it's great for repeated power efforts. Glycolytic. All right, so if we look at like energy systems in, I guess that, or almost from that reductionist viewpoint that it works for X amount of seconds and it produces all of the energy for strength training efforts, it's like, yeah, based off of the year 12 PE textbook that we get, that it would make sense based off that understanding. But now that we know that all of these are contributing at the same time, and this predominance of the glycolytic system is dependent on 100% effort. It's like, all right, do we put all our eggs in the glycolytic basket for training strength athletes? Probably not. There's too much of an interplay to say that it's all glycolytic. We can't actually say that's producing all the energy for our efforts. If we were to train that through conditioning, it's just not going to work for the athlete because of that largely genetic component. It's extremely high stress, and the fatigue that you get from hammering 100% efforts to actually train true glycolysis, it's just not worth it. If you think stimulus fatigue ratio, the amount of stimulus that you're getting, the limited amount of gains that you're getting for the amount of fatigue that it induces, it's just not worth it. So to put all the eggs in the glycolysis basket in field sports, it just doesn't make sense to do so. It's not to say not to train it. It's just that the amount that you're going to get out of it is probably quite low. You're probably better off putting your eggs in other baskets. So if you think about true glycolysis, if we're hammering a 30 rep bicep curl and overloading that, is it the load or the byproducts that get you? If you're not actually overloading it, it's probably the byproducts that are going to get to you beforehand. And it's going to be quite hard to actually progress that. So it's not, I wouldn't be pushing glycolysis and trying to develop that system in athletes. Now, if we look at the aerobic system, that has the greatest capacity for improvement with the least amount of work. This is why we push it so much. We think about how much time in a strength training, training session or a powerlifting meet is spent in an aerobic environment, and how easy it is to actually improve it with minimal stress. It just makes sense to put more of our eggs in that basket when programming conditioning. It improves recovery capabilities. So it comes back, or I'll go over these 2 points. So it improves recovery capabilities and it improves systemic function. Remember what we were talking about in earlier slides. If we look at improving both of these things, what is our athlete going to be able to do? They're going to be able to deal with more stress. They're going to be able to recover better. The other 20 hours of their day are going to be easier on a systemic level, even probably on a subjective level. If you're fitter and moving around is easier, you're probably going to be able to recover better. That's why we hammer this so much. That's why we're talking about this so much. If you get just that little bit fitter, everything's easier, your recovery's better, you can repeat efforts more over time. So just a little summary on this. Phosphagen and glycolytic anaerobic systems have a low ATP yield, so a low energy yield. They don't provide too much ATP relative to this system, but they have a high power. So they're able to switch on. So these systems are able to switch on quicker and produce more energy in a shorter amount of time. It's just limited. They're less trainable. They'll be targeted in your singles. They'll be targeted in your 6 to 8 rep sets, but they're not taking predominance. I wouldn't say glycolytic systems would be taking predominance the entire time. Phosphagen system in a single rep effort, yeah, probably. That'll take most of it. But then you think about the recovery after that as well. Now, our mitochondrial respiration system or aerobic has high ATP yield, lower power, so it's probably not switching on or working to the same degree that our phosphagen system is in a 1 rep effort, but it's more trainable and it's going to assist in recovery. So from all of this, what can we see? What can we influence as strength coaches? What we aren't already influencing now? I can't speak for everyone, but I'm going to say that the majority probably aren't programming aerobic work for their athletes. If strength training is in order, what else do we look at? We look at nutrition and conditioning, essentially. How can we improve, and lifestyle, how can we improve the other 22 hours of the day? Get them a little bit fitter. They can recover better. Yep, easy. All right, so what about strength training? I started touching on some stuff about how strength training and energy systems work together, but this will just give a bit more of a picture. So let's look at a strength training session. So this is just your general run-of-the-mill session that most of your athletes are completing. 3 to 5 working sets, 6 to 10 repetitions. So the efforts would take about 30 to 60 seconds, depending on tempo and other things. We'll just say that it's between 30 and 60. RPE 6 to 8, programmed for working sets. So most would say that this is sub-maximal. You're not going hard out the gates from rep 1. There is an element of control. It's not max effort. We've got 2 main lifts. With those 3 to 5 working sets, we rest between 3 to 6 minutes, and then 3 accessory lifts, fluff and puff after that. So you're reaching your variability work, and then just your pump work, bis, tries, all of that fun stuff. So rest between 2 to 4 minutes in between them as well. So again, these efforts would be about, an accessory list, that'd be about that 30 to 60 second as well. This here, I think, is really, really cool. Just demonstrates that interplay again and how much we're actually relying on one specific system. On our first effort, so again, this is a maximal cycle effort. So I would say it's probably a higher intensity straight out the gates when compared to a set of 8 squats. And then sort of 4-minute recovery period after that as well. So similar work rest periods. I'd just say the intensity of this is a little bit higher straight out the gate. So the first one, we can see that our phosphagen system is providing majority of the energy at the start. And then it goes glycolysis, and then mostly oxidative or mostly aerobic for this back end here. That's their first effort as well. So that's when they're freshest. Then by the third effort, even with those 4-minute rests, look what happens. Phosphagen kicks on at the start, bit of glycolysis, majority aerobic. Still phosphagen, piss all glycolytic, majority aerobic. So look at how much our glycolytic or our anaerobic effort has provided. It's actually not that much. I think people look at this and they just rely on, it takes 60 seconds, so it's glycolysis. It's glycolysis. It's like, no, it's not. It's a bit of glycolysis. It's a bit of everything. But as we go on, it just gets more and more aerobic. I think it's really important to understand this and just see how much of an influence this system does have.